want to introduce Jerry Williamson. Jerry is the managing director for BNI Alabama. Yes. Nobody should be wooing more than me. He has done a fantastic job of looking at challenges within the organization and figuring out a solution for them. The thing that I think makes Jerry so unique is that he has a background in hospitality. So he's always looking at things from the hospitality point of view. The other thing that I think makes Jerry very, very great at what he does is that he was a member. He was a member that refused to sit in a different chair when they tried to mix up the room. Yes, he was going to quit if he had to sit in a different seat. But he understands it from that perspective. He understands membership from that perspective so that he's able to really help members very, very effectively. The other thing is he really looks at the psychology behind something before he tries to create a solution.
Jerry has just wrapped up our Diamond Growth Program, and it was an awesome program. As you may know, Jerry is a wealth of knowledge, and his presentation of the basics to get us back on track with the things that make us successful in BNI has been phenomenal. Even before the program ended, we started seeing some of the results in our numbers, and we're just excited to see what's going to happen next. So we highly recommend this program.
We just went through the Diamond Growth Program. I thought I knew everything about BNI, but this definitely gave me the education that I need to be a better member and get more out of BNI.
We just went through our Diamond Growth Program here at Velocity, and let me tell you, the amount of education that gets poured into you is phenomenal.
We just finished the Diamond Growth Program. It was excellent. It takes the understanding of networking to a deeper level.
If you ever think about growing your chapter, the Diamond program that Jerry created is awesome. We've been with them for the last 8 weeks, and it really has given us a foundation, the things that we need to know in order to grow our chapters.
We just finished the Diamond Growth Program, and I thought it was absolutely incredible. What it does is, beyond where you have Member Success Program, which gives you an introduction to the concepts of how to actually do effective networking, you get into the real nuts and bolts, and it's a hands-on practice. So it gives you real success with how to do networking and how to grow your business, how to get to know your referral partners and work together as a team.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the Managing Director of BNI Northern Alabama, Jerry Williamson.
Good morning. How are you? I was taught in MSP training to never rely on PowerPoint. This gives me a teaching moment with my chapters from now on. Trust me on that one. So let me ask you, how many people in the room have a hard time telling someone in your family exactly what BNI is? Raise your hand. My mama, to this day, I have been a member of BNI for 15 years, last month, and a director for 11 years. And my mama, to this day, still cannot figure out what I do. I overheard her telling the lady one time, well, I don't know what he does. All I know is he's gone all hours of day and night, talking to all these strangers. And just so you know, she tells me every time I come to BNI conferences, don't talk to strangers. I said, Mama, that's kind of my job now. But it's just a thing we do with each other. So anyway, she said, I don't know what he does. He's out all hours of the day not talking to strangers. But you know, he has a lot of fun in it. And I don't know how to explain what he does. I said, Mama, you make me sound like a drug dealer. You've got to start telling people I'm in marketing. And she said, well, exactly what is marketing? I said, never mind, just keep telling them what you're telling them. That seems to be working for you. So if I could get Lisa Smith, she is one of my area directors, and she is one of our gurus with social media, to come up here. I want you to take a picture for my mama of all these people who came out to see my presentation today, and wave at Mama. There you go. Mama's down in Tennessee. She just got back from Tunica. I hope she gambled and won $1 million. And if she does, Megan... Don't even say. Okay. I won't. So thank you so much for that. And so now let me ask you, how many people have ever heard someone that tried to complicate BNI? Right? Now here's the real question. How many of you try to complicate BNI? Because I know we all are a little guilty of trying to complicate BNI. One of my chapter members in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Sarah Morrison, always said, you know, BNI ain't rocket science. Why do people try to complicate it so much? And you know, I think she has a lot there. It's not complicated, but for some reason, because it is so simple of a process and a concept, we tend to try to overcomplicate BNI. So why do we do that? BNI, this is my opinion of BNI, is nothing but a process that forces you out of your comfort zone to help you build relationships with people so that they will want to send you business. It's kind of that simple, isn't it? So why do we complicate it? You know, even baking cookies is a process, especially if you ask Megan Chitwood, because she processes everything, right? And I'm not a baker, so I know if I don't follow that process, the cookies are going to come out looking like cornbread. If those of you who aren't from here don't know what cornbread is, then we'll teach you that later on. Well, the Diamond Growth Program is exactly like cornbread and processes. It is, if you follow the system, you're going to get the results. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, is BNI is nothing but a process, and there's systems and concepts involved. And what we've done all we're doing is we're taking it back to the basics. You're not going to learn anything new here today. I hate to tell you that. You may want to go to the next room now. But all we're doing is we are taking everything that Dr. Meiser taught us over the years, and many of you in the room that I see that have been around for many years, you've done this. You're the one that taught me how to do it, by the way. Dan and Penny, see you there. So all we've done is in the Diamond Growth Program is took this and put this into a process of an 8-week process for the Diamond Growth Program. How many people has ever heard the Acres of Diamonds parable? Yeah, this has been used on stages for thousands and thousands of motivational speeches. And when I started working with some struggling chapters in Alabama, I saw this parable and I got to read it and I thought, this right here is exactly what BNI is all about to me with the struggling chapters. The Acres of Diamonds is a parable where there was a man in Africa, his name was Ali Hafed, and he was a fairly rich man. He owned a lot of land. And one day a priest came to talk to him and said, if you would like to be richer, all you have to do is go and find the land in between two mountains with a river running through it that's filled with sand. And in that river, you'll find diamonds. The man sold his farm. It was paid for free and clear, by the way. Left his family, left all of his friends, and started traveling in search of acres of diamonds. And he walked the entire continent of Africa looking for these acres of diamonds. Finally, several years later, in a fit of despondency, he threw himself in the river and drowned himself because he had spent every bit of his life looking for something that he could never find. Now, in the meantime, the guy who bought his farm was walking one day through his land, and he looked down at this creek, and he sees this rock with a little glimmer in it. And he reached down and he picked it up and he thought, well, that's pretty cool. This has got this rock with a bit of a sparkle to it. So he takes it back to the house and he puts it on his mantle. One day a priest came and visited him. And the priest said, well, what is this on your mantle? And he goes, it's just a rock I found in the creek. And the man examined it. He says, no, you actually have a diamond. And he goes, no, it's just a rock. He said, no, I'm telling you, you probably have one of the largest diamonds that has ever been found. Take me and show me where you found this. They went down to the creek, and they got to digging into the sand, and all of a sudden they started pulling diamonds out, and diamonds, and more diamonds. Come to find out, and this is supposedly a true story, so come to find out, this ended up being one of the largest diamond mines discovered on the continent of Africa. The man gave up everything he'd worked for his whole life and had paid for it because he wanted to go find something new and different. And he never found it. Because he didn't take the time to figure out and research what a diamond in the rough looks like. And then he certainly didn't look in his own land to see if maybe he was already richer than he thought he was. Does this sound like BNI to you? Does this sound like a struggling chapter to you? I think it sounds like struggling members and struggling directors. Because we all are always looking for the next big thing, instead of looking right here under our own feet and saying, there are diamonds here, I've just got to find them, and then I've got to polish them. So, to me, when I got ready to think about working with this chapter, that's the tool that I took into that program, was there are diamonds in this chapter. Even though they're struggling, there are diamonds here. I've got to find them, and then I've got to polish them up. And that's how I got started with the Diamond Growth Program. You'll also see me talk about, throughout this presentation, the book called Switch by Chip and Dan Heath. It says how to change things when change is hard. Change is never easy, is it? So I owe a lot to these guys because Hazel Walker introduced this book to Megan. Megan introduced this book to me, and I started reading this book just about the time that I had this chapter issue going on. And I said, this is the answer. And we're going to refer to this back in a lot of different times in this presentation. And so you can understand the book. But if you don't have that book, write it down, get that book now. Why the Diamond Growth Program? Well, the Diamond Growth Program got created because I went to a chapter meeting one day. It was an 8:30 a.m. chapter meeting. A little late for some of you, right? And I arrived at the meeting at 8 o'clock. At 8:20, there was me, the chapter president, one other member, and 2 visitors. This is 10 minutes before open networking. Sound familiar? Mm-hmm. 8:40, 10 minutes into the meeting, members are still arriving. And Jerry's freaking out. Because if you don't know me, one thing that gets me is being on time. That is my pet peeve. Everybody, y'all got them. Mine's being on time. Actually being early. But really what got me about this was one of the people walking up the stairwell was the secretary-treasurer of the chapter. And I couldn't even pay attention during the meeting because my brain is cranking. I left the meeting and I called Megan. And I said, I've got it. And she said, what? And I said, they can't grow because they don't get the basics of BNI. They don't get the wind sprints. How many of you have heard the wind sprint story? How many of you can do the wind sprint story? Right? That's telling stories, isn't it? But that's just it. They don't get the wind sprints. So we as directors, and if you're members, any members in here, by the way, I don't want to exclude you if you are. Okay. So we as directors, we always want to go in and tell a chapter to grow, grow, grow. But if they don't get the basis of BNI, what are you growing? A bigger disaster. So what we've got to do is we've got to change the mindset of the chapter first, and then we can grow the chapter. But that's the hard work part. And that's when I decided, I've been in BNI, like I said, I've been doing this for 11 years. I've experienced a lot of the programs, and I have to say a lot of the programs is us handing the chapter leadership a piece of paper and saying, here's a program, go do it. I'll check back with you in 6 weeks or so. And I decided at this time, I'm going to roll up my sleeves and I'm going to get in there and I'm going to get dirty. And I'm going to walk through this with them and I'm going to show them that if I'm willing to invest in you 10 weeks out of my life, you need to be willing to invest 10 weeks of your life to grow your business. So the first thing we have to do is we have to get buy-in from the leadership team. So I go and I meet with the leadership team and I sit down with them and this is a chapter that was like 14 members. And I sat down with them and I said, okay, so why do you think we're here today? And then you get very quiet. And you wait on them to think about why we're having this conversation today. Anybody know why we have the conversation? Because people stopped following the basics of BNI. Okay? 9 times out of 10 is because the membership committee stopped holding members accountable. And number 1 is what? The attendance policy. Okay? So they stopped doing that, and that's why we're having a problem now. So now we got to get in there and we've got to change the way they think about doing things. If you see this book here, Managing the Dynamics of Change, it's another fantastic book. And I'm going to come down off the stage here and I'm going to show you what this is. So you want to go over with your leadership team exactly what's getting ready to happen. And then you want to go over the J curve. Has anybody heard of the J curve before? Yeah. Great. So the J curve, basically, you'll see here, when you tell your leadership team that you're going to change something, what's going to happen? When the leadership team tells the membership you're going to change something. Let's just say we're going to start enforcing the attendance policy. Right? You see that horizontal line? I call that the flat line. Because nothing changes. Because the members think, they're not going to do anything. They always say that, and 2 or 3 weeks later they don't do it anyway. Right? And then here's what happens. The chapter membership committee sends that first absence letter to a member that they haven't seen in probably years. And he freaks out. Because, oh my God, I got a letter. A few weeks later, a couple more people get that letter. And then they start getting upset. And then things start going south really quickly. The attitude of the chapter starts getting really bad because there's a whole bunch of people with attendance issues and they're afraid they're next. So they're not happy with this change, even though the leadership team said we want to do this. The members aren't happy. And then right here, on number 2, they opened the guys category. It went south really quick, didn't it? But here's the beautiful part. The minute they opened that category, those 2 other guys behind them that have the same attendance issue, they decide to straighten up. Absolutely. They straighten up really quick. They send out little signals like ants. Okay? They really mean that. And then things start getting a little bit better because all of a sudden more people are at the meeting. The people who actually signed up for membership are actually here every week now, not their sub. So the meeting feels better. There's more energy in the group. And then as each week goes along, it gets easier and easier to find a substitute or just to show up yourself and not get the attendance issues. And you'll see then as we get over to number 4, we start getting exponential growth. And all of a sudden the members are going, this is great, I'm glad we came up with this idea. I don't care if you think it's your idea. What does that sound like? The art of diplomacy? Right? In the book Switch, it tells us that we have to create destination postcards. In the destination postcards, we have to paint the picture of what the future is going to look like. Why are people scared of change? Because they don't know what the change is going to result in. So we're going to paint the picture with the leadership team, the president, the vice president, the secretary treasurer, explaining exactly what this is going to go through. We'll spend about 1.5 to 2 hours just working with them so that they can see what this program is going to result in, what the destination is going to look like. Also in the book, this is what I love about this book. It creates a storyline. It compares everything in the book to the rider and the elephant. Now if you look at this picture, what you see is the elephant is really big, really strong, and really stubborn. And then you have the rider, the tiny little man, but he's got all the smarts. He's got all the training. He knows exactly where the destination is. He knows where he needs to go. It's the rider's job to get to the destination. To me, when I read this book, I saw the rider as the leadership team and membership committee, and the elephant is the chapter. The rider has got to guide the elephant to the destination. But here's the problem. The elephants have a herd mentality. They don't want to go off by themselves. That one elephant and that rider, no matter how bad that rider told the elephant that it's going to be great where we're going and there's going to be a better feeding ground and better water hole and more shade, the elephant doesn't care. They want to stay with their friends. They want to stay with their pack. They want to stay where they're used to being and being comfortable. Right? Still sound like a chapter? Yeah. So the rider needs direction and the elephant needs motivation. You have to teach your leadership team what the destination is going to look like and what it's going to feel like. And then you've got to motivate your chapter. And I'm going to make you this promise. If you use this Diamond Growth Program correctly, you will motivate your chapter, because this whole program was created not to go in and slap members around, but to go in and make them feel good about themselves. Because the minute they feel good about themselves, they'll follow you to the end of the earth. Okay? But you've got to be able to teach them why you want them to get there. The next thing you've got to do is create a switch. To create a switch, you must script the critical moves. That means telling exactly what everything is going to look like from here on out. Because here's what happens. The leadership team is going to be the people who go and tell the chapter, this is what we're doing. When we meet with the leadership team, we say, you've got 3 choices. I see you're struggling. Remember earlier I told you, I said, why are you here? We want them to say, we're here at this meeting right now because we lost the basis of BNI. Once they say that, they want to follow us there. So you're going to sit down and you're going to show them exactly what the program's going to look like, because they're going to be the ones to make the decision whether to follow this program or not. So we look at them and we say, well, we've got some options. We can go ahead and close you down and bring in the launch development team and restart your chapter. We can give everybody a certificate of credit and just let you go. But I do have one more option, and that's the Diamond Growth Program. And as you start explaining that, guess what they do? They get really excited about this option as opposed to being closed. Right? We all like options. And I think they deserve that one more chance. That's why I created this program. Because I feel like if I invest 10 weeks of my life and my time, or my directors who's training the program, then we've done our part. If they don't get it or they don't want it, then that's okay. I can't want it more than they want it. But at least I've done my part, or you've done your part. So create the switch. You want to tell them what you're going to do, because they're going to go to the chapter. They're going to say, here's what we're doing, and here's the way it's going to look. Because I instruct every leadership team. When I come into the room, I'm the hero. I'm not the BNI police. And you have to set it up that way. This is an advanced training course. Okay? So they will go to the chapter and they will look at this as an advanced training course. By the way, I'm even going to create that as a paid course so that we can get it one way or another. But that's coming on down the road. But they need to be presenting this to the chapter, because if the leadership team presents it to the chapter is more likely to buy in than if we go and present it to the chapter. So how does it work? You have to build habits. It says choose small wins that are immediate. Small successes are powerful. People can believe in themselves. So we've got to get the habits down. We've got to create little habits. And here's one thing that we do. Now, okay, anybody need a nerve pill right now? Because I just changed the agenda. Okay, I took away the open networking. So I tell them, your 8:30 meeting is butts in seat at 8:30. And I'm standing there with my watch just like this, and at 8:31, if there's only 3 people in the room, meeting starts. And they're like, oh, well, we're waiting. No, we're not. We're starting. Because we've told the chapter that the meeting starts at 8:30. So we're setting that habit that we start on time. We don't wait on the stragglers. We don't wait on the people that's got something more important than helping you with your business. Okay? I can make you this promise. There will be 2 or 3 people late to that first meeting. But they won't be late the second meeting. Because when the meeting's in process and they walk in the door, everyone turns and looks at the late guy walking in. And he usually has to sit on the opposite side of the room, so he's got to walk all the way across the room. And the peer pressure, I'm not fussing on the guy. I will never mention to the guy, you were late. I don't have to. Because every head does this. Right? We were early, you weren't. But why did I do this? Because what I do is I took the open networking away, number one, to force them into being there and getting started on time. And then one of the members looks at me and says, well, we don't get open networking anymore? I said, absolutely you do. Why don't you arrive 15 minutes early? One of the other things we do is we give video homework. So what I've done is I have gone out to conferences. Tom Fleming's Learn More to Earn More is one of them. Megan's is one of them. Andy Hart's is one. I can't remember all the names. But anyway, we took conference audios, put their PowerPoints with it, and created a video. And then we send out videos for them to watch every week. Anyone want to guess why we're doing this? We're teaching them how easy it is to get CEUs. The easiest thing in BNI to do is CEUs. Start with the small successes, the easy successes. And then guess what we get to do now? Now when we go to the meeting next week, everybody pull out your phones and give yourself CEU credit for your homework that you did. They all just got to celebrate in the success. And we celebrate that. Okay? So we're teaching them how to find CEUs, that it's not really that hard, it's not really that difficult, and then really it's kind of fun. You know, it's kind of like once you get in the habit of something, how it becomes fun, like exercising. Once you start doing it, it's fun. When you think about doing it, not so fun. Dieting, the same way. So we're creating that little small success. Who laughed? Visitors are encouraged to attend. I'm sure that's one of your questions. Do we allow visitors to come? Absolutely we do. We encourage them. I can't tell you how many members we have gotten from the visitor to attend in this program. You know why? They love the education. I actually had a guy come up to me at the end of one of them and said, please don't leave. I've never seen anything like this before. The education is phenomenal. So make sure that you have visitors. I promise you, if you do this right, you will get visitors applying during this simply because of the education that you're giving them, because they're not used to seeing it. The education coordinator position is a little different. Just so you know, y'all can switch all this up. Whatever works for you in your region. This is just the way I'm doing it. But the education coordinator now is assigned out by the vice president to different people every week. You can either be very specific in what you want the topic to be, or you can be very lenient with them and say, just go find something. Once again, what are we doing? We're creating small habits. We're showing the other members what it's like, how easy it is to get the CEUs, how easy it is to go to the podcast and create a little 3 to 5 minute presentation, and how much fun it is to be able to do that. Then we coach during the meeting. Now, a lot of these things that we're doing in this program came from Hazel's Phases program. And we coach during the meeting. So the first thing I do is I tell the chapter, I'm asking your permission to stop the meeting in progress and coach you as we go along. Does everyone give me your permission and promise not to get your feelings hurt? And everyone says yes. So some of the things that we'll do is we'll stop them in the meeting and we'll coach them on why going 1.5 minutes for your weekly presentation is not a good idea. Or why giving 3 testimonials at the end of the presentations is not a good idea. Whatever it is, we'll coach them on that. We're very positive about it. But we do coach them because here's the thing. Dan and I were talking about this the other night. When you start a chapter, they get all this training, right? What happens in 3 to 5 years? Most of those people that got the training are gone. So you've got all these people in this chapter that don't understand the culture because they didn't create it. They just kind of inherited it. And then none of them have the training anymore. So this is us training them in a little mini training just like they would kind of get in the Phases program. There is no feature presentation. We took that 10 minute away. And the reason we did that is, quite honestly, I needed the 10 minutes to talk. So we're going to take that and put that on the end of the presentation. I'll explain that in just a few minutes. We do have the I have portion of the meeting, so this is a really good thing. I will say because we took out the feature presentation, it feels a little jolted in there, and I'm still working on how to make that a very smooth transition because it does kind of feel like, oh, we just skipped something. So we're going to work on that. But we do have the I have portion because we all know that that's what everybody's there for, right? And then we have on minute 45. So I guess you're all kind of wondering how this works. The first 45 minutes of the meeting is the chapter having their meeting. Now let's face it, if you're a 12, 14, 16 member chapter, how long does it take you to get through a BNI meeting? Not 1.5 hours. But they will do that, right? So they can do it in 45 minutes if we help them. And then of course we took out the open networking, we took out the feature presentation, so we bumped 25 minutes right there. And then we're going to come in and we're going to start the training. So the director will take over at that point. So the director gets the last 45 minutes of the training. So here's what that looks like. We have weekly courses. Week number 1, we talk about the chapter environment. We're going to explain the program of the Diamond Growth Program. We talk about the acres of diamonds. We hand out applications to every person in the room. And we go through the application. Why are we going through the application? Because I want them to see that what we're getting ready to ask them to do is what they agreed to do the day they applied for membership. Bring visitors, bring referrals, follow the code of ethics, follow the guidelines. We're not asking them to do anything that they didn't agree to do the day they applied for membership. We'll also talk about what the meeting looks like, what the meeting should look like. We'll talk about the location. Is the meeting room professional? Because as you start noticing, a lot of times as chapters start dwindling, the location is usually one of the problems. So we're going to talk about that. Is there signage that helps people find the location? So we really talk about that. It says here, uncertainty makes the elephant anxious. That's from Switch. We have to be able to let them know that we're going to be able to change and that they should not be nervous about that. We're going to shrink the change. We're going to explain that during week 1 so that everybody gets and they know the destination so they're not afraid of the change. That's why they are always afraid of change, because they don't know where it's headed. Week 2, we talk about the chapter education. Basically, we go over how do you get CEUs. We talk about the podcast. We talk about the newsletter. We talk about Ivan's books that he has. We talk about the advanced training programs. We talk about MSP. All the things that we do, and this is one that really gets the visitors sometimes because they're not aware of how much education we have in our organization. Week 3, my favorite, the visitor experience. So let me ask you this. Everyone in the room, if you were ever a visitor in BNI, would you please stand? Some people weren't visitors. We're all visitors. Do you remember what it felt like when you were a visitor? Because if you don't, you need to find that again. Because what I have found is we work ourselves to death to get visitors, and then we don't treat them the way they should be treated. I call them wallflowers. There's no such thing as a wallflower in one of my chapters. Go find them. Okay? We need to talk about the visitor experience. What should it look like? How should a visitor be greeted at the desk? How should we follow up with the visitors? How do we register the visitors? All the things that they need to do to have a great visitor experience, we need to coach that. And here's what I love about this one. You can talk to the visitors. And you'll see the visitors nodding their head yes. And guess who else is watching that? The members. You don't have to deliver the message that they're not doing things right. The visitors are telling them they didn't do it right and they should have done it that way. They will join. Then the next week is the member experience. Okay, we promised you all these wonderful things. Now you're a member. Are we doing it right? Do we have the new member orientation? What should an induction look like? How is the passport program being delivered? Is the mentor coordinator doing their job? Are we giving our members the best experience they can have before they make up their mind this was not a good investment in their money? Week 5 is the ask. Not a lot here. Basically, we do the money funnel and a few other little things, but we're just showing them how to be very specific in their ask. Then we have week 6 is the referral process. What's the difference in a lead and referral? How do we give referrals? How do we warm up referrals? How do we follow up on referrals? All the little basic details there. Week 7 is power teams. If you are not doing power teams in your region, you need to start. We're just starting. Okay, we tried power teams years ago and kind of messed that up. And so now we're going back to it again. Lisa Smith just opened a 52-member chapter. Oh, and by the way, in the timeline of the phases, building it solely on power teams. I want every chapter doing this. Okay? Oh, I got on the wrong thing. Week 8 is the foundation. It is the wrap-up. Okay? So we're wrapping up the program now. We're giving recognition. I love these diamonds. We hand these out to members who I thought were great people in the chapter during the process. We talk about the Visitors Day that's going to be coming up. We show them exactly how to do it. And then we have 2 weeks worth of Visitors Days. Just so you know, those are back to back. We send 20 postcards for the first Visitors Day, 20 postcards for the second Visitors Day, and our verbiage is, if you can't make it the first time, that's okay. We have another one next week. You would have loved the video if you could have seen it. So do yourself a favor. If you bring the program into your region, videotape your members after the programs are over with, because that video that I was going to play for you were my members telling how they loved it. Guess what I do with that video? The next chapter that I'm going to want to talk to the Diamond Growth Program, I send them that video before we ever talk about it. So I've got members teaching members the value, not me teaching that value. And it says to make changes stick, shape the path. This is where I went wrong in BNI as far as the Diamond Growth Program. I feel like that we need to hold their hand a little bit longer because they are a struggling chapter. So what we're doing right now is we are actually creating phase 2 in BNI. And it is going to be a program that's a year long that we hold their hands from the director aspect to the leadership aspect, and we're going to walk them through how to gain everything back that they lost over the years. And we also have a Facebook group. I've already got it put up. It's called Diamond Growth Program. Go there now, request to be in the group. This is where we are going to, I've already got all the videos, so just so you know, someone asked me if there was a manual. There's not a manual. But I've got it even better. I've got all 8 weeks of me doing the program on video. It's raw, ladies and gentlemen. It's just me. So, but you will get the gist of it, and then you can write your own manual. But on the Facebook page, what I want to do is, I want you all helping me with your ideas, your questions, and helping me create this phase 2 thing. I think as a group, we can probably make a pretty great program, right? So, I want to thank all of you for being here today. One thing, how many minutes do I have left? 4 minutes? Well, what? 5 minutes? Well, I have some diamonds in the room too. As a matter of fact, one of my diamonds did my voiceover for me. Tony Wolf, every time I need voiceover work, Tony does that. Thank you, brother. And then I have an area director team that is absolutely awesome. They are the ones that let me do my job and make me feel so special. That's Kimberly Lindsay, Joe Thomas, and Lisa Smith. You're all diamonds in my book for being here. And I appreciate you being here. And I am getting a question mark. If we have time, we can, sure. We only got a couple minutes, I think. You need to come up to the microphone, or Braden's going to bring it to you. Oh, okay. That's never good. When a boss wants to ask a question.
You said that visitors are encouraged but not required. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Maybe I just messed up. I don't really know what you mean by that, but they are encouraged. I'll tell you, the first time I did the program, I did not allow visitors in. And the reason I didn't was because I wanted to be able to have the time to say, you need to do this a little bit better, and I didn't feel comfortable in front of visitors. The next time I did it, it was a lunch chapter, and lunch was being served right at the time I was going on, and I couldn't say, oh, grab your food and go. So I did it with the visitors, and that's when everything changed. I'm like, I don't need to get rid of visitors. They need this. But we will have the visitors go out of the room with the president. So does that help you at all? Is it kind of...
And there's a loaded question.
Okay.
You don't require anything from this program.
Oh, I see what you're getting at now. Yeah, we call it the Diamond Growth Program, but we never push growth. We're not pushing growth. That just is a result. That's a result of the culture that we're building. Once we build the culture, that will come. And we have a chapter that kind of has done that with the program. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here.